In this video, I'm going to show you how to take this extra large men's shirt and turn it into a woman's smock top using this as my inspiration. This will be the most complex refashion I've done so far and will involve deconstructing the entire shirt and then reconstructing it using custom-made pattern pieces to create a well-fitting, professional-looking garment. Hopefully. So let's get started. Carefully remove the pocket by unpicking the seams. Cut the sleeves from the shirt, open the seams of the sleeves, and remove the cuffs. Cut along the side seams of the shirt to detach the front from the back. Then unpick the collar and yoke unit from the shirt. These seams need to be unpicked because the yoke and the collar will be reattached to the shirt later. To create the pattern for this project, I disassembled this shirt and then combined the pattern pieces with parts of the men's shirt. Here are the pattern pieces I came up with the dimensions listed in inches so you can replicate them if you'd like to make your own. For reference, I wear a woman's size small or medium in US sizes. First, we'll trim down the width of the yoke to make the shoulders smaller. Fold the yoke and collar piece in half and use the yoke pattern piece as a guide to cut the shoulder width. I already cut half of the front as a test, and now I'm going to cut the other side separately, but you can line up the button plackets and cut both sides at the same time. Fold the back of the shirt in half. If you have a plaid shirt like mine, take the leftover section from the front to gauge where to make the bottom cut so that the plaid lines up with the front. Place the paper pattern near the fold depending on how full you want the gathers to be. The existing pattern is the same size as the yoke and has no allowance for gathers, so I'm going to add about 2 inches extra. Place the two sleeves with the wrong sides of fabric facing each other and cut out the pattern piece. Then clip or mark the fabric with the guides for the gathering stitches. Since this shirt has gathers at the shoulders, back, and sleeves, I went ahead and did them all at once. Set the machine to the longest stitch length and sew the first row close to the edge. Turn 90 degrees, make 2 stitches, turn another 90 degrees, and then sew the second row parallel to the first. Then repeat with the other shoulder, the back, and both sleeves. I used contrasting thread, but it isn't necessary. To reattach the shirt front to the original yoke, first gather the stitches until they're the same size as the yoke. Wrap the gathering threads around a pin to secure them. Then sew the gathered front seam to the underside of the yoke. Remove the gathering threads. Fold the front of the yoke over the sewn seam, then top stitch. Try to follow the original stitch line if possible. Insert the front of the shirt into the collar and pin into place. This is tricky because you want to make sure you catch the underside of the collar as well. Carefully top stitch the collar in place, trying to follow the original stitch line. This is the most difficult part of this project, and I did have to re-sew one seam a few times to get it right, but it was worth it because it turned out really well. To reattach the back of the shirt to the yoke, use the same technique. Gather the stitches until they're the same size as the yoke. Pin the back of the shirt to the underside of the yoke and sew into place. Remove the gathering threads, then fold the front of the yoke over the seam and pin into place, then top stitch using the original sew lines as a guide. To sew the sides of the shirt, straight stitch with the right sides of the fabric together, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then use a zigzag stitch to finish the raw edge. To attach the sleeves, first sew the side seams with the right sides of the fabric together, then finish with a zigzag. With the shirt turned inside out, insert the sleeve into the armhole with the right sides of the fabric facing each other. Pin the sleeves to the shirt, making sure the curve matches the curve of the armhole, as the front and back are different in this pattern. Gather the top section of the sleeves until they fit into the armhole. Sew the sleeves to the shirt using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Check the sleeve, remove the gathering threads, and trim the seam allowance if it's uneven, then finish the seams with a zigzag stitch. To hem the sleeves, make a small hem, iron it, and turn it up again, iron again, then sew into place. Next, we're going to create the ruching. As you can see, I did a hand sewn test here. The actual ruching seams are 4.5 and 5 inches from the yoke, but I'm going to make the gathering stitches slightly larger, approximately 4.25 inches and 5.25 inches from the yoke. Mark the fabric with where you want the sew lines for the gathering threads to go. Sew the 2 rows of gathering stitches 1 inch apart, then gather the threads until you're happy with the length. Fasten the threads with a pin and distribute the gathers evenly. Press the gathers with an iron to make them easier to sew. Sew 2 rows just inside the gathering thread to secure the gathers. I'm going over the stitches twice to make them more secure. Then remove the gathering threads. To hem the shirt, fold up a small hem and iron, fold up another inch and iron again. Then sew a seam near the fold. On my shirt, the final buttonhole was very close to the hem, so I removed the button and simply sewed a tight zigzag stitch to disguise the hole, but you can also make a small tab of fabric if you want to cover the buttonhole. So that's it, we're done. And here's the result. One thing I love about refashioning is that I can end up with a professional looking garment even though I don't have the skill to sew a professional looking garment. I can't sew a collar, a button placket, or buttonholes like this, but I can use those elements to create something that looks professional but is custom made for me. And it only costs $5. So I hope this inspires you to take on your own refashioning project. Thanks for watching and happy upcycling!